Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Two's Got Your Ticket. I'm entertainment reporter Vince Girasoli. There are over 200 theater companies here in Chicago. They perform in massive, ornate auditoriums and tiny storefront spaces. Each contributes to Chicago's cultural vibrancy, and weekly, we spotlight their artistry in a segment that we call Two's Got Your Ticket. This weekend, however, the eyes of the theater world focus on Broadway for the 75th edition of the Tony Awards. The ceremonies will be broadcast live Sunday evening from 7 to 10 p.m. on CBS 2. There is extra reason to celebrate locally. This year, the Tonys will be singling out one of our own Chicago theaters for a special honor. Court Theater will receive the 2022 Regional Theater Tony Award. Joining us now to reflect on the honor is Angel Izaguirre. He's Court's Executive Director. Angel, congratulations once again, and thank you for joining us today. Court Theater is dedicated to classic theater. How does that give us the backstory about its roots? Tell us a little bit more about how it was born and what this dedication to classic theater means. Now, you at home may not be keeping count, but Court Theater is now the 6th Chicago theater honored by the Tonys with a Regional Theater Award. The others are Steppenwolf Theater, the Goodman Theater, Looking Glass Theater, Chicago Shakespeare Theater, and Victory Gardens Theater. I just love this next story. One day you're developing software, and the next day you're starring in a Broadway show. That is a spellbinding moment from the life of Carla Stickler. She had been with the Broadway hit Wicked years ago, but left it for a career in tech. However, a shortage of Elphabas over the holidays had her once again taking flight as Oz's Wicked Witch.
That just makes me laugh that, like, you know, your side hustle for a couple of weeks was starring in a major Broadway production.
Yeah, you know, hobbies.
When I meet the wizard, once I prove my worth.
Really, the $64,000 question in all of this is, how did this come to pass?
I love that people want to like to think that I was some random person they called after 7 years because everybody was sick and the world was ending. But at the end of the day, I have been with the show since 2010. I was a standby and an understudy in the company full-time until 2015. Over the course of my career as an actor with Wicked, I have driven out to Philly to cover the tour on a whim one afternoon because they didn't have an Elphaba. I've flown out to LA for a couple weeks to cover. I had kind of made peace with the fact that I may never play Elphaba again. A lot of times, the main reason my job exists is just for the comfort of everyone in the building to know that there is another Elphaba around, just in case.
Did the blocking just come back to you naturally?
There's this thing when you're an understudy where part of learning the role is really memorizing your paths on stage, right? As you relearn the role, those things all come back.
During the performance, did you have any butterflies?
As someone who was a professional understudy for so long, I thrive off of this crazy adrenaline rush of doing something that I don't really know what I'm doing in front of thousands of people. So I was so excited to be there. Instead of being nervous, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get to do this probably ever again. So let's just enjoy the ride.
Stickler clicked her heels together 3 times and is now back here in Chicago. Hers is just a number of stories about understudies stepping into the spotlight, but boy, was hers magical. And with that, the curtain comes down on this special Tony edition of Two's Got Your Ticket. I hope you enjoyed meeting the people behind some of Chicago's best received productions of the past few months. And theater lovers, don't forget, you can watch the Tony Awards from 7 to 10 p.m. Sunday night on CBS 2. And remember, each week, Two's Got Your Ticket to the best in live performances. I'm Vince Girasoli, and thank you very much for joining us. If social media was a thing in his day, Oscar Levant would have been viral. We got a glimpse into his brilliant yet troubled life thanks to Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Doug Wright as the Goodman Theater presented Good Night, Oscar. Levant was an enormously popular musician and comedian in the 50s and 60s. He's brought to life by actor Sean Hayes from Will and Grace. Good Night, Oscar examines 4 hours in his life when Levant was released from a mental ward to guest star on Jack Parr's Tonight Show.
Who was Oscar Levant?
It's a great question, and it's true that he's fallen off our pop culture radar. But Oscar was many things. He started as a protege and best friend to George Gershwin. He became a composer and concert pianist. found his way into colorful bit parts in movies like The Barclays of Broadway and An American in Paris.
Disappear, don't you see I'm busy?
And made the wisecracking piano player a famous staple of those films.
Show me your blah, blah, blah.
And finally, in the 50s and early 60s, he became a wag on TV talk shows and game shows.
And what do you do for exercise?
I stumble and then I fall into a coma.
What is it about Oscar Levant that makes him such a good central character?
Oscar is fascinating because he really redefined the way we think about American humor. He was bedeviled by several mental illnesses and used them as fodder for his comedy.
We have a bunch of pills here. We honestly, we know we got
I
everything.
took them. They're nothing.
But at the same time, it was progressive in as much as it helped to remove some of the stigma that surrounds those conditions. But I've tried to include some of those choice witticisms for which he's so famous.
Was there one you discovered that you weren't aware of that just sticks with you now?
Oh, so many. I mean, I'm reluctant to give away anything in the play, but one thing he said that always amuses me, if you're a fan of 50s movies, he was famous for saying, I knew Doris Day before she was a virgin.
In addition to this brilliant piece, Wright's impressive credits include the 2004 Pulitzer Prize for I Am My Own Wife.